Hello, everyone. Ella here from All Writers Welcome, the All Writers Welcome Facebook group and allwriterswelcome.com. And today I am going to talk to you about this common marketing mistake that so many people make. It is, and this mistake is what we call the shiny object syndrome. So what the shiny object syndrome looks like is, I need to start marketing my book. Let me go and find out what's working. And then you start looking around and you're like, ooh, you know what? Before I can sell my book, I need to have a business card because I need to know that I'm a writer and I need to have a logo. Or you'll go on to Reddit and you'll be like, I saw on Reddit that now people are using Pinterest to sell their books. And I'm not saying that all of these things are not good things, but what it is, it's like that squirrel in that one movie. No, it's like the dog looking at the squirrel in that one movie. It's squirrel. It's shiny object. I need to go after it. So what we're going to talk about today is what are the tried and true methods of marketing that help you to focus and narrow down so that you can stay away and avoid the shiny object syndrome, which is a huge mistake because, okay, so here's what happens is you start marketing and maybe it's not going as quickly as you expected. And so you're like, this isn't working. Let me try something else. And the thing is, it probably is working, but marketing takes time. So you have to be consistent. Anyways, I'm going to tell you about the steps, the 3 steps to doing what you need to do and avoiding shiny object syndrome. So when you see a good idea on Reddit or you see a good idea on this author's blog, go ahead and write it down, but like for future reference, if you want, or to feel good or to pacify that part of you that's like, I need to know. Okay, but then come back to these tried and true methods. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit. So the first thing to do to avoid getting distracted with shiny object syndrome is to find out what your readers and customers want and to give it to them. So the way to do this is, so that's the first thing to do. The way to do this is to look at what successful authors are doing and mimic them. Go to other authors' Facebook pages, go to other authors' Twitter feeds, go to other authors' websites. These are successful self-published, ideally, authors because they don't have the traditional publishers behind them. So like Bella Forrest, she is doing amazing. Or Jeff Wheeler. Go ahead and look at their websites and their social media platforms and see what they're doing that's working. And then go ahead and mimic them. You guys, there is no need to reinvent the wheel here, okay? like find out, because why you're mimicking them is because those authors have figured out what works. They have figured out what their readers want. And so you don't have to go like, oh, I saw this post on Reddit from who even knows who that person is. It's just some dude on Reddit, right? You don't need to take what they say as gospel when you can easily go find out exactly what's working. Exactly what's working from other authors. Carrie says, too bad. I will never get rid of my shiny object syndrome. It takes practice, you guys. I have definitely fallen prey to shiny object syndrome before. Like, it's definitely something that everybody does, but so don't worry, but we're going to practice. Okay. So the first thing is to find out what these other authors are doing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Those authors are doing what works. So you just get to mimic them or appropriate, like be like, oh, I can do that. The second thing, so the first, find out what your readers and customers want and give it to them. Okay. And there's a number that doesn't say you can't go onto Facebook or you can't go onto Twitter. Like wherever your authors, your readers are hanging out, go there, or wherever you find yourself the most comfortable. I'm not saying you have to be on Facebook or you have to be on Twitter. You can go where you feel the most comfortable and your readers are also hanging out, and then give them what they want. Number 2, be consistent. Okay. The second step is to be consistent. So the danger of shiny object syndrome is that there's very little consistency. You'll be like, oh, I'm doing these Facebook posts of book recommendations. And then you're like, wait a minute. I could be doing Pinterest. And what happens is the little bit of momentum that you've built up doing your Facebook book recommendations, let's say, is then dies as you go to do Pinterest. Okay. So, or whatever it is, your shiny object that's been like, I want to do that. I have to do that. So the consistency matters. Like before I started doing this, what we're doing here now, I kept reading marketing places, and they're like, consistency. And I was like, consistency. Okay, what are you talking about? I just haven't found the thing to be consistent in. But it turns out when you pick one thing and just do it consistently, that's all you need to do. It's not like, I was falling prey to shiny object syndrome as well. So consistency, you guys, building your market, it takes time. It takes time. So there's this analogy of like, let's say you were doing karate, right? Let's say there's two guys doing karate, and one guy is like, I need to learn, or let's say martial arts. Two guys doing martial arts, or two women doing martial arts. But either way, one of them's like, I need to go spend 2 weeks on each of these martial arts so that I can be an expert on all the martial arts. Okay. And so let's say he spends like 6 months and he does, 2 to 3 weeks on each martial art. And at the end, he's like, okay, now I'm great at all these martial arts. And then you have another guy who's like, I'm going to pick one, the best one that I know works the best. I've done a little research, and I'm going to do that one that works the best. And I'm going to train in that one martial art for 6 months. And then these two guys compete. Who do you think is going to win? The guy who tried all the different martial arts just for 2 to 3 weeks each, or the person who did the one for 6 months? It's a rhetorical question. It's the one for 6 months. You guys, you know that the person who did that one thing that they knew worked was a good martial art. He wasn't just going to go do some, goofy homemade martial art that he made up himself, but he went and he trained in a good professional one that he knew worked martial art. That guy's going to win. And that's the same thing with your books. Okay. This is the same thing with marketing your books, is you pick one strategy that works and do it over and over and over and over and over again for at least 6 months. And you guys, what is the strategy? What are some of the strategies that work, that we know work consistently across genres? Book recommendations. Book recommendations always work because people are constantly looking for good books. They'd like to feel like they're receiving something from you. Like they're like, oh, this person is giving me something. They're giving me a recommendation. So a book recommendations on your, things that they haven't found or seen before. Those always work. The other thing is to ask people about themselves, right? People like to feel like they're heard and listened to. They like to feel like they are interesting. So if you've seen some of these posts where people are like, post a GIF of your favorite fantasy villain. And you're like, yes, which one is mine? Because you want to share, because your audience wants to share about themselves. That's part of the fun. So provide the space for them to share about themselves, not just have you share about yourself. Okay. Do both. The other thing that we know works is sharing like snippets or little bits of things about your character and your worlds, especially for fantasy, right? But we know that these things work. We know that they grab people's interest, especially when they're attached to a picture, okay? Especially when they have an image involved. So those are some things that work, and you could do those consistently, and they will work. Do them consistently. Be consistent. So far we've said, find out what your readers want and give it to them. And second, you have to be consistent. And these are the things that help you to, stay away from shiny object syndrome, because shiny object syndrome is a huge, it hurts you. It hurts your ability to market. It hurts you in your sales. So let's go on to step number 3. Step number 3 is invite people to join and sign up for your newsletter. invite them to join your email, invite people to say, here's my email. I want to know about your books. So you've got find out what they want, be consistent, and then invite them to your email list. And why do I say email instead of Facebook? And you may have heard me say this before, but you don't have control over Facebook's algorithms. You don't have control over Amazon's algorithms or Twitter or any of their algorithms. You don't have control over when you show up in their feed. What you do have control over is your email list. You get to say when something goes out, and you get to say, and those people, you show up in their email inbox. So that you have control over. And so let's say, here's a little story. Let's say somebody loves your first book and they love it so much that they follow you on Facebook. But you know it's going to take you like 6 months before you can get your second book out, or 4 months, or 3 months if you're really awesome, okay? But that's still 3 months later. Ask yourself, in that in-between time, is that person still interacting with you on Facebook, or do they somehow drift away? And Facebook knows. Facebook only puts people in feeds that they are regularly interacting with. So in the course of those 3 months, they might not still be seeing you in their feed anymore. And that's a shame. You do all this work. So take people from, give them the content they like on Facebook and invite them to join your email newsletter and send out good stuff, but invite them. You don't even have to send out stuff. It's, ridiculously regularly. Like, you don't have to be like, I'm sending stuff out every time. Some people wouldn't even mind if you just let them know when your next book came out. Or you're like, here's a book recommendation. Or if you know there's some books on sale, you're like, these books are only 99 cents, buy them. You send that out in a newsletter. So those are the 3 steps, you guys. Find out what works for your audience. So to avoid shiny object syndrome, and let me show you, shiny object syndrome can show up as, I need business cards, or I need an author logo. I can't send out a newsletter until I make an author logo. And you guys, first thing I did when I tried to start a business a few years ago was make a logo. I didn't have any idea even what the business was going to be, but I had a logo. I had an awesome logo, you guys. So, or I need professional headshots. I can't just put a regular photo onto Facebook. I need to have a professional photo taken so I don't look ridiculous. You guys, look at me. Look at me. Okay? You don't have to have professional headshot taken. You can be your normal self like me. I know I have a thing for crazy hair. So those are all things that shiny object syndrome. I'm telling you, I'm joking about it, but it really does hurt you because it wastes your time and it hurts you in your sales and marketing. Like, instead of making money with your books, you're using this shiny object syndrome to not, it's so do what you can. And I know it's scary, because what if it actually worked? What if you became a bestseller? There's good things and bad things about that. We all have their subconscious like, but no. So what I would like to hear about is some of the ways that you guys have fallen prey to shiny object syndrome. What are some of the things that you guys have, you ladies or men folk, what have you done to fall prey to shiny object syndrome? And then what are some of the things that you have found that works? Because the things that, and this is the strategy that I recommend. It's the one that I use. It's find what works for your audience, do it over and over again, be consistent, and invite them to your email list and newsletter. Let's see this in action. So you guys, if you've found this useful and you would like to receive more writing and marketing tips from Megan and I here in the All Writers Welcome Facebook group, find out what our readers want. Parentheses, what does your audience want? Writing and marketing tips. We actually are live twice a week here in the Facebook group. Okay, so I'm live once a week, Megan's live once a week. And if you want to be notified of when we go live, you can sign up to our newsletter. We're live twice a week. We are consistent. You guys, step 2, we're consistent. Step 3, step 3 is invite them to your newsletter and email list. You guys, we are live once a week if you want notification about that. If you want to know when we're live or get more writing and marketing tips, go ahead and sign up for our newsletter at allwriterswelcome.com/newsletter. Okay, you can sign up. We're not crazy. We just send you some good stuff, good stuff to keep you on your path to successful writing. And Empress, I see you. Empress says she's a novice and has yet to produce a completed work. You can also start marketing. Empress, I'm addressing you and to anybody. You guys can start marketing before your book is complete. That is totally a thing. And actually, if you want to find out about our Write, Market, and Publish Your Book in 4 Months program, it actually helps you. We have a free training at allwriterswelcome.com/book. And it actually goes through a calendar where it shows you how you can start marketing before your book is published. And so we've had some people go through it and they're really having some real success. So I would definitely recommend getting that free training at allwriterswelcome.com/book. And that will help you. It goes through week by week for 4 months, what to do to start your marketing before your book is even complete. So that way, when your book comes out, you have bunches of people buying it. But yeah, so you guys, this marketing tactic I know works because this is what we're doing right now. So if you have any questions, again, I'm inviting you to share some of your shiny objects, whether it's an author logo or professional headshots, or I need a business card or something along those lines, and then share what you found has worked for your marketing if you're in that space. Okay, again, this is Ella at the All Writers Welcome Facebook group. Thank you so much. Hugs and happy writing.